we all have that monster, right? We all have that thing that we're scared to do. And it could be as simple as, submitting your report to your coach, right? Submitting your log. It could be going for a walk. It could be, turning the shower cold if you've been interested in that. It could be trying one night without any dessert after your dinner. It could be brushing your teeth. There's a million monsters we have, but I challenge you to try it once and then see how you feel. It doesn't mean once is going to lead to forever or every day this month or never again or whatever. It's just once. Just see how you feel. Just test drive it.
Hello, Adam. Grand as always to be here with you, sharing this opportunity to communicate some of our thoughts about behavior change, getting healthy, getting fit, all that good stuff. Today, the power of one is on your mind in particular. So, why don't you lead us in?
Yes. So I was talking with a new client, and he had this routine of every night, once the kids were in bed, once things were settled down, he would get some snacks, whether it was chips, cookies, ice cream, and settle in and watch some TV. And he really enjoyed it, really does enjoy it. And he wanted to break this habit. And I challenged him to do it. And there was definitely a lot of resistance, right? He felt like there's no way he can do it. It's something he looks forward to all day. And I challenged him to the power of one. And what that is doing something you feel is scary, some sort of monster we build up in our head, but just do it one time. So I challenged him to not eat anything while watching TV for one night, right? I didn't say that we're going to do this for the rest of the week or for 2 days in a row or for the month, one night. And he did it. And the next day when we talked, he was on cloud nine. He's like, when I went to bed, I felt energized, I felt empowered. And when I woke up, I felt the same. I felt very accomplished. I felt very proud of myself. And it made me realize I can do hard things and I want to do hard things. And he hasn't snacked since that conversation, which is
Wow.
amazing because he was so scared and so resistant to the idea of just doing it one time. But the power
Huh.
of one lets us build confidence and inspires us to do more.
That is incredible. I mean, it is truly such an amazing entry point. Like, if you can, like you said, if you do it once, well, we've just blown up any idea that might exist that it's not possible, right? I've
Exactly.
I've done this, the toothbrushing thing after dinner. A lot of resistance shows up when that recommendation comes out. Like, all right, like I know you like your sweet after dinner. Let's try brushing our teeth. And I've made this recommendation countless numbers of times. I'm sure you have as well. Boy, there's a lot of resistance, but I tell you, when I do the same thing, when I'm like, just try it, just one night, you never have to do it again. You never have to do it
Right.
again. Just try it once. And it's like, wow,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Right.
But what I think is really important to identify is how he felt afterward. Tell us more about that. Like you said, he felt empowered, he was elated.
Yeah, I think he just, it's like I think, listen, some people like ice baths. Some people, they can't not do an ice bath and talk about it. Fine. But I think there is something to be said about the hardness of it, right? When you do hard things, you just feel awesome. You feel empowered. You feel like you can do more hard things. And I
Mm,
think probably, I'm not a huge proponent of them, but I think for some people they love them. Great. If it makes you feel great, do it. But I think one of the reasons why is because they're facing that monster and they do it and they feel empowered and they feel wonderful after. And I think something I've learned is that whenever we do something uncomfortable, hard, whatever it is, we feel unstoppable after, right? We can't get that feeling if we're only doing easy things, right? That feeling of feeling unstoppable, highly confident, strong, energized, that comes from doing uncomfortable things.
it does. So, I had this conversation with a client recently. We have been working really hard on changing her thought patterns so that her behaviors change, her habits change, and her physical outcomes ultimately change for it, right? Um, so this just made me think of that, you were talking about the ice bath, right? Like, I think all of us can sit here and imagine what that must be like to plunge yourself into a big bath of ice. Like, talk about physical discomfort. I'm going to call
Yeah.
it discomfort. I'm sure some people would put it on a pain scale. Um, and based on what you believe about it, there are supposedly some good benefits for doing that. So here's what came up with this client, though. We've also been working on strength training for her, right? Really trying to build her muscular endurance, and helping her feel stronger. And something she will come to me with after a strength session is like, "Oh, I feel sore," but she's excited about it, right? Like, what does soreness tell you, Adam, about your exercise?
It tells you that you strained your muscles, that you worked your muscles, you ultimately and literally tore your muscle fibers, and they're hopefully repairing bigger, stronger, firmer, harder.
Right? So we celebrate this
Yeah.
as a culture,
As
right?
a
Like,
job well done. Yep.
right? Like, oh man, I'm super sore today. Well, not super sore, but like everybody has probably experienced muscle soreness after a good workout. And even though it's uncomfortable, we're excited about it. So, what I said to her was, why are we not celebrating this mental soreness, the discomfort we experience, when we're changing our thought patterns and our behaviors and our habits, right? Like, that's essentially what we have here. And I think that's the same with the ice bath. It's a physical experience, but we feel empowered on the other side. I think the same thing can happen. It can transfer to these moments of, I'll just do it once in
Yep.
terms of habits, right? Like, I feel like we need to celebrate that more.
Yeah. I think the tricky part is, soreness is lasting. Um, it is celebrated, no doubt, but it's lasting. Or I think that mental discomfort we overcome, I think that lasts too. Actually, I think we're just not trained or used to looking out for it. Right. I always say, like, we often say, "Here I go again," when we're about to do something we know isn't going to help us get to where we want to be. Right. It's like we're always focused on the negative, but we should do that with the positive too. I think it takes more of an awareness, like, hey, I'm feeling so good. I feel this uncomfortable tension. I feel this, cognitive dissonance, whatever you want to call it. Like, there is that strain, and celebrating that, because that means you're en route to where you want to be mentally.
Yeah, definitely. And I think maybe we're getting a little closer to what this is, in terms of the power of one and that moment where you say, okay, I'm going to do it this one time. Like, for anybody who lifts weights or perhaps trains for high speed, events, things like that, in the moment of like lifting your heaviest rep, right? How much is your brain telling you set that thing down? Right?
Right.
Or you're pushing through your fastest sprint in your workout and your brain is saying, I gotta stop.
Yep.
Right? And in that moment of you doing it that one time, not having the snacks in front of the TV or going, up to the bathroom and brushing your teeth right after dinner, your brain's going, no, don't do it. But
Right.
we want to go, yeah, because right after it, we're on top of the world. We're freaking
Yes.
Tom Hanks having started the fire finally. Right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think it's a great parallel because I think there's so many things you can be like, oh yeah, do it there. Why can't you
Right.
do it here?
Right. I mean, and again, I think that feeling of feeling unstoppable, which I've never met a human who doesn't feel like that, who doesn't like feeling like that, only comes after doing something uncomfortable. It only comes after that there's that trepidation, there's that fear, that resistance, whatever you want to call it. It only comes after that. So it's really tricky, because if we want to feel unstoppable, we have to do things we're not in the mood to do, that are uncomfortable, whatever. I mean, there's times where I'm just not in the mood to exercise whatsoever, but I know it's going to help me feel the way I want to feel. I know it helps me be the person I want to be. And after those workouts, I feel amazing, right? And it's not like
Yeah.
I did some sort of crazy workout or had, a lift I've never done before. In that moment, it was just, I didn't feel like exercising, and I did it anyway, and it felt
Mhm.
great. I felt super empowered.
Yeah. And exercise is a great place for the power of one, right? Like, I definitely help clients do that all the time. I'm like, you don't feel like doing your workout? Fine, get down and hold a 30-second plank.
Right.
Do one push up, do one jumping jack, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a key thing to highlight as well. Like, if you want to feel empowered, do one, do it
Yeah.
once.
One of my most favorite parts about health and fitness is that it is truly applicable to every other aspect of life. And I think, actually, I know the practice of doing something when you don't feel like doing it and learning how to start despite how you feel is so powerful, right? There's so many times where we do that in life and we push through, and learning how to do it in health and fitness, it further solidifies your ability to do things when you don't feel like doing it.
Absolutely.
So, what I would love to challenge people this week on is we all have that monster, right? We all have that thing that we're scared to do. And it could be as simple as, submitting your report to your coach, right? Submitting your log. It could be going for a walk. It could be, turning the shower cold if you've been interested in that. It could be trying one night without any dessert after your dinner. It could be brushing your teeth. There's a million monsters we have, but I challenge you to try it once and then see how you feel. It doesn't mean once is going to lead to forever or every day this month or never again or whatever. It's just once. Just see how you feel. Just test drive it.
Yeah. And then email you, right? Like, we want to hear
Yes,
about it.
I want to hear about
what
it.
what was the power of your one? How did it go and what did you get for it?
Right. So I'm super excited to hear about it because I love the feeling that I get after I do something that I don't feel like doing, that power of one. And I'm super excited for you to experience it. I think life, one of my goals is to, we want to experience everything life has to offer. And I think sometimes the best feelings are those that where we just conquer something that we're a little resistant to, that we're a little fearful of, no matter how big or small the actual monster is, in quotes, right? It could be, something big, it could be something small, but when you face those monsters and conquer them, it feels awesome.
Absolutely. All right, guys, you have your homework. We look forward to hearing about which monster you face and that power of one, that one time you face it, you stand your ground. Send us an email. Let us know what the outcomes were, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, take good care.